everybody, thank you for joining me. My name is Carlos. Today I will be presenting a delt and arm session explaining the strategies, techniques, tactics, and what it is that we're doing in this phase, in this training block, in this period. So this training block, this period is emphasizing definition. Now, when we say we're emphasizing definition, that means that we're on a diet. There's very little that you can do exercise-wise to define musculature if you are in a high body fat state. It's pointless. These are the things that are not really taught up front at the gym. We'll say, well, you do these, this is exercise here that'll define the biceps, and if you do this particular angle here, it will define the chest. And yes and no, because most people are high body fat. Most people in the modern age are, above 15%, just naturally. If they don't work out, they're not doing anything, they're not on any diet per se or anything like that, they're generally between 18 and 25%, with a large fraction of the population being frankly obese. Now, so there's no exercise, there's no targeting, there's nothing that you can really do to define the muscle if you're not losing body fat. So they have to, the definition, the cut, all these things have to be in conjunction with the diet. Now, again, talking with the trainer yesterday, we were just reviewing, the state of the art and the knowledge base of most clients and people that go, that go and assist. They go to the gym, they work out. And obviously most people are not nutritionists. Most people are very uninformed. But that's not really the problem of being uninformed, is that most people have strange notions of what it means to eat healthy and to get lean and to get fit. It's these notions that have been ingrained from God knows where. And, they're absolutely unscientific. They have very little basis in any reality whatsoever, and people hold on to these notions as if this was the way to do things. This is the truth, such as, I eat healthy. I eat healthy food. If you're eating healthy, why are you still 22% body fat? Why? Because it's really not the health of the food. It's the quantity of the food that determines your body fat. And the composition also. It's all mixed in together. So yes, you do eat healthy food, by and large, although there are some studies that have shown you can get lean and ripped eating McDonald's and junk food. As long as you are eating enough protein and you are in a deficit, you'll get lean. In fact, I saw a study the other day. I can't really cite it off the top of my head. This particular gentleman, lowered his cholesterol, his triglycerides, and his body fat on a strictly McDonald's diet. So is he eating healthy? Well, he's healthier now than he was before, compared to a guy who's eating, fish, chicken, broccoli, steak, but he's overeating these amounts, and so his body fat is still high, his insulin resistance is high, and he's pre-diabetic, eating healthy food. So this notion about health, this notion about eating healthy, is it's like many half-truths. It's so dangerous because people think that they are in the correct way of doing things when they couldn't be further from the truth, or they're missing the most vital piece of information, which is called portion control. But this portion control is also a strange notion because that doesn't really tell you much. I remember a trainer years ago saying, well, I asked him, how much should I eat? And he puts out a fist and a fist. And this is how much you eat. And this is like your stomach portion. Like, I think there's a better way of going about this. Something that satisfies the knowledge, the intellect, and the truth of the matter, which is you get yourself a weight, a digital weight scale. In fact, I'm going to bring one here. You get one of these, this, and you put a little bowl on it, and you measure out your rice. Then you measure out your meats, and you measure out everything. And there's countless apps nowadays where you can calculate, okay, that was 187 grams of rice. Okay, that's so many calories, so many carbs. Okay, we're getting there. Now you calculate the meat. Put in 210 grams of meat. That's like 7, 8 ounces for the people who aren't very metric minded. And you do these conversions, and then you are now doing the thing in the know. You can't fail. If you're doing it by the numbers and you're keeping a registry of your weight, if you're tracking your weight in the evening before you go to sleep and in the morning fasted when you wake up, and you're keeping track of your calories and adjusting them according to your weight scale, I would say it's practically impossible not to achieve your goal. Whereas 98% of the people who try this, they don't ever make it. Sad to say. Why? Because of lack of knowledge. They perish in their attempts to do these things, and I don't want you to be one of those people. Whoever it is out there that's listening to this, there's no mystery to it. You just have to count. You have to track. Yes, it's work. Of course. This is important. I mean, don't you think it would merit a little bit of effort? And, after a while, it becomes second nature. And in my particular case, since I've been doing these diets, this is like my fourth real cut. I don't have to weigh everything out, I do weigh it. I cannot lie. I do weigh just about everything, but at this stage, I know exactly how many calories I'm eating, whether I weigh them or not, but I do it anyways just out of discipline and to keep the habit going. And so my Excel sheet is reflecting the exactitude of the thing. And in these last 15 days, my average weight drop was 3 pounds, which is 6 pounds a month. But it was going below that. It was heading towards 3.5, 4. So what did I do? Instead of eating 150 grams of cooked rice in every meal, I upped it to 200 grams. And in the morning, I have a mix of either chopped chicken and some ground beef with 7 egg whites. It's like really high protein. And I'll mash in 100 grams of potato. So to stop the drop, yesterday I mashed in 250 grams of potato. So it's like a dashboard. It is so manipulative. It's so easy to do once you know this. And, okay, I'm dropping a little too fast. I'm feeling a little bit weak. You up the carbs. You up your food, your calories a little bit. Now the trick here is that the very next day you got to bring it back down again. Because you don't want to have, you have to keep this thing like really on the cusp of the numbers. And that requires a little bit more discipline. Now, this game, this thing that we call bodybuilding diet, is the epitome of self-discipline. So I understand. I've had people, I've coached some people in the diet realm, and not very few have been able to succeed. Not because they were not properly coached by me, but that they bail after 6, 7, or 8 weeks, which is the most typical thing that happens. Like they're into the diet. Okay, you're into this diet a month, and a month seems like a year. It's been a long time. It's only 4 weeks. It's only 30 days, and then on the fifth week, you're feeling just you want this, you want that, you want to go out with your family and have a big dinner. You want to have a cheeseburger. You want to have some ice cream. And all of these things are restricted and denied for a very protracted period of time. And so what typically happens? Oh, yeah, we had a birthday on Sunday with my in-laws, and I kind of broke the diet, but I'm counting again on Monday. And it doesn't happen. They get back on track on Wednesday, and then on Thursday they just say, fuck it, I'll do this later. Or, you only live once. I'd rather die fat than hungry. I've heard so many excuses. It's like ridiculous. Yeah, really? Okay. So this is obviously not important. And in these particular cases, the person really just suffers for 6 weeks. Not really suffer. I don't suffer. I really love my diet. I feel good. I eat enough food. That's the other thing that we were talking, going over this with one of the coaches at the gym where I train at. And it's that many people think that the diet consists of like not eating. And it couldn't be the opposite. I'm eating Like sometimes I'm really full. It's like, oh my God. But it's the type of food and it's high volume, very low calorie type of food with a lot of water. And so you're just tricking the body. And most people, they're control freaks in the sense that okay, it's easier just to not eat. You simplify the thing by just not eating, and then what happens? You lose all your muscle, and then you can't train properly. Which brings me to today's training. So on the diet, getting lean, dropping the weight according to an Excel sheet by weighing and measuring everything out, and everything's scientific, everything's perfect, everything's on point. Now the training. How do you train? Well, you train as hard and heavy as possible. Now, there's a difference in the training. Some people would say, well, when you're going for a cut, you use lighter weights and you use higher repetitions. And yes and no, but they don't explain why that's done. It's not so because the lower weight will get you more cut. It's because you don't have the mass and the energy to lift your maximum weights. And so you have to compensate somehow. I mean, you're not going to stop lifting. And so you train as hard as you can. But that hard as you can is a step below your off-season peak when you're cramming in calories and you're doing really low volume type of training sessions. It's just different. So don't be deceived by thinking it's the lightweight. And this is another thing we were talking about yesterday with this gentleman, how some people still have that notion. These silly notions. So, okay, I'm gonna cut my chest. I don't want to get striations. So all they'll do is these cable flies with light weights, and they'll do like sets of 30, 40, and 50, but they won't do the bench presses anymore because bench press is for mass. And of course, the lack of knowledge, the ignorance, just lack of knowledge, and holding on to really strange, ingrained, stupid notions that God knows from where they got these stupid notions. And so that's not the way we do it. So today's training session, delts, always start off with the hardest exercise. For me, it's the compound move, the overhead press. Now, to be able to get in enough volume and work really hard at my stage, at my present level of development, I have opted for the Smith over the free weight. Why? First of all, less risk of injury. That just has to be said. On the free weight, it has to be stabilized. You make an argument, stabilizing muscles, stabilize your muscles, all of these things are great for development. We're not interested in peak development right now. We're interested in muscle preservation. So yes, I am interested in peak output, but in as much as it is safe, it permits me to go into higher volumes with less attrition at this stage because I'm lowering the calories. And so the delt press is on the Smith machine is like the best thing. We're doing 2 plates for sets of 3 to 5. Oh, that's very low rep. That's not enough to build muscle. You just don't know what you're talking about. First of all, again, we're not trying to build muscle. We already have the muscle. We just want to retain it. And so these low reps, you compensate by doing more sets. So instead of doing 2 sets, you do 5. Okay, and then you do a back off set where you drop the weight and you do high reps. Higher reps to take it to absolute fatigue. And then I did another drop set with a minimum amount of weight and did some intensifier techniques such as pause at the bottom for a few seconds and rock it up. And just throw that thing up like a basketball. Boom! Hold it there, bring it down slowly, load the spring like you're loading the spring, and then throw it up. And at the end, I couldn't move my arms. It was like, my shoulders. They're not painful. They're just pumped and sore, a good sore, and I couldn't move them. From there, we go to the isolation exercises. Start out with the front delt raises. I received a comment on one of my shorts. Pointless. This is pointless. Again, uninformed, they don't know what they're talking about. And I have to admit that I believe that was a pointless exercise up until recently. If you're doing heavy bench presses, if you're doing heavy inclines, if you're doing heavy overhead presses, all these exercises, why in God's name are you doing this exercise for your delts? Uninformed. Why would you do that? Why? Because it's more than a delt exercise. Really? What else does it work? Your traps or what? No. It's actually working the insertion of your biceps. Whoa, what? The insertion of your biceps. That's right. The insertion of the bicep to the front delt is worked by raising your arm to the front. And I never got that definition or development just by doing presses. In my particular case, I have seen the benefit of doing the front raises. 3 sessions now, incorporating the dumbbell. Now I'm doing the very light barbell. It's working. It's working. And if you go and check out the top trainers like Henny Rambud, you would think that he knows what he's doing. Every single one of his champions, I'm talking Hadi Chupin, Chris Bumstead, Andre Deo, Derek Lunsford. All these guys are heavy pressers. They can do heavy overhead presses. And what are they doing? You got them doing this. So whoever out there in the internet void abyss is saying this is pointless, your opinion is pointless because you don't know what you are talking about. It is an effective exercise. Now, if you have a body type or your particular front delts are so developed and your definition is so right on, maybe you don't need to do them. I only started doing them after years, just a few weeks ago. So I can understand the lack of knowledge and the ignorance because I was there. And I can say I was ignorant on the matter. Now I know better. So front delts, very important. There are rear delts, even more important. Rear delts. From there, we're doing the triceps dumbbell extension. This is just a great exercise. Since I'm getting strong on the pullover with the dumbbell, yesterday put on 100 pounds, did 100-pound dumbbells, felt easy, got a great pump, doing 80s and 100s. From there, we cruised to the seated cable extensions, the skullcrushers, and the one-arm dumbbell preacher curls. These preacher curls with the dumbbells, probably one of my best sets. It was so fun. Just grooving, 15 reps. But I would have to say subjectively it was like perfect technique. Like all the way down, bring it up, cramp the muscle, and just really just flexing with the 35s. Felt so comfortable. And that was it, a high volume routine. In contrast to a low volume mass gaining routine, I would go in and do standing overhead presses, standing military press. I wouldn't do so many isolation exercises, more barbell curls, and just change it up a little bit more, keeping the volume lower, the weights higher. Here, just training as hard as we can, high volume, and moving fast from set to set. In the off season, when you're trying to gain strength, you need to rest at least 3 to 5 minutes between your top sets. Your ATP, your mitochondria, is not recuperating the same way that your breathing does. Sure, you're ready to go after a minute, but your muscles are being defrauded of their maximum output if you're not giving them at least 3-minute rests. Whereas now we could give a flying hoot about maximum output. We're not trying to build PRs. And so going quickly in the routine builds greater muscle workload during the exercise session. So instead of doing 10 sets in half an hour, you're doing 15. That's more work. There's more work crammed into a shorter period of time. That affects the muscle. It's a way of overloading the muscle without adding more weight. So that's basically it today. We covered the diet, the misguided notions that some people have about definition and cut, and the training routine for today, and why is it that you train a certain way when you're on a diet and another way when you're trying to gain size and muscle. Well, that'll be all for today. God bless everybody, and we'll see you in the next episode. So here, as usual, we start out with the heaviest, hardest exercise for the training session. Today, delts, compound movement, overhead presses on the Smith machine, starting out with the light 20-kilo weights on each side, translates to about 130, 135 pounds approximately, and setting up the chair, very important. Now, it has a very, very slight incline towards the back, but it's, for all intents and purposes, a shoulder raise. You can't really say you're using your upper pecs here or anything. See how I flare my elbow? I flare out the chest. I flare out the shoulder, actually. And so the movement is heavily biasing the shoulder girdle, the delts. Here we're just bringing up the weight slowly from 135, 155, 185, and just taking it step by step so we can reach our top weights, which today, here we're going for 200 pounds, just ranging the thing out. Starting to feel good, feeling plenty strong. At this stage, I'm always a little bit nervous, wondering how heavy I can go today. And I'm pretty much, at my limit with the 2 plates, 2 and a 5 kilo on each side. And so here we start our working sets. Now, the idea is to get at least 3 reps, 3 to 5. My PR is 6. If I could ever get 7, well, that would be a very exciting day. And so we're just doing high volume sets. I think we did like 5 sets here. 5 sets with 2 plates, just getting in the workload. So here's another set with 2 plates. And this really permits me to just focus and concentrate and go all out on my I was getting frustrated with the people walking in front of the camera, but it's a public gym. You have to understand that this is not your space. This is a shared space with everybody else. Some people are, they'll be considerate. Other people could, they're absolutely clueless, or they don't have situational awareness, and some people are just outright rude. It doesn't really matter. It's not your space. You have to just make do with what you got. So here I got 5 reps. This was my best set of the sets that I was doing with the 2 plates. Now here we bring it down to 200 pounds. And I was going to go for reps, see if I could get, at least 8 reps. And that's exactly what I got. I got 8 reps. Now, at the end, just pause, breathe and brace, and do another rep. Pause, breathe and brace, bring it down again, and I knew I didn't have another one, so we leave it at that. And I decided to do another drop in weight and go for an intensifier just to flex. And, pause at the bottom, ricochet the thing up as fast as possible, spring load the muscle, and especially, try to pause at the bottom. Just load the muscle under tension and then move it up as fast as possible. And so that was basically it for the pressing session today on the Smith. And by this time, I'm feeling pretty worked up. It was feeling great. And then from here, we go to the isolation exercises. Here we're doing the front delts with dumbbells. 3rd session on doing these this particular movement, which I never ever really do. I figure I get enough work doing the bench presses, the incline presses, and the military press. Why on earth would I do this exercise? And truth be told, it's actually very beneficial. It helps with the definition between the biceps and the front delt. It has great carryover. And in my personal opinion, in my personal subjective experience, it's working. And so obviously I'll be doing this. 3 sessions now using the 30-pound dumbbells. I should be moving up to 35s for at least a set or 2. And they're not easy to perform. It's not the hardest thing in the world. And so here I decided to do an extra set with the Z-bar, with the cambered barbell. And of course, this is very lightweight. Just getting used to the motion. Next time I'll bring it up by 10 or 15 pounds. You don't really need too much weight on this particular exercise at first, and so it's working. It's working. Some people are really down on this exercise. They see a lot of newbies. They overemphasize the front delt, and I understand that. But in my case, I need this work. I need the front delt. So obviously, rear delts should not be neglected. Here we're just working with the 50-pound dumbbells. And I should be bringing them higher up. I noticed that and started to crimp and crunch my rear delt to a greater extent on the last few reps. And we're going for another set with the 50s. And of course, these 50s just feel comfortable now. They used to feel overwhelming at a certain period of time. I was stuck with the 30s, 35. Now, this particular movement here of doing like a ski motion where you're bringing your arms back. So actually, it really does target the rear delt. I very rarely see anybody do this type of technique, but it's a great finisher to the fly. And in my opinion, this is actually a really good exercise. Now here we go to the seated dumbbell extension. Started off with a 50 pounder, just very light, trying to get the range, not letting the dumbbell hit on the back of the chair. You have to get into a certain position to get the full benefit of the stretch. So that's what we're trying to do with this lightweight, is just get into the proper range, really focusing on what I see in the mirror. Now, I'm pretty strong on the dumbbell pullover, and this has a similar type of movement, although obviously it isolates the triceps to a much greater degree. The pullover is a lat exercise with a little bit of chest involvement. And here, you're really just trying to go for the stretch and get the movement from the complete bottom part of this exercise. So it's great for stretching the tricep. It's great for the spring load. And here we go for our top set with a 100-pound dumbbell, which actually felt pretty light, pretty doable. And I should be upping the reps the next time. I think I only got 5 reps here, and I know I can do more reps. So 1, 2, 3, yeah, if I can go higher, I should go up to 105, 110-pound dumbbells and just try to progress on these. So that was that with the dumbbells. And we went straight for the seated cable extensions. Now this is another exercise that permits really, really good stretch at the bottom. And you should take advantage of these type of machines to get the full range of motion. Everybody that was on this machine prior to me was doing like half reps. They were half reps. Here I let it go all the way until it can't go down anymore. You can adjust the seat height also. And here we threw in one biceps movement in this particular session. The only biceps that I did for today was the one arm preacher curl with the dumbbell. Chose a 35-pound dumbbell and putting the arm completely flat against the pad, the humerus, the upper arm is laying flat on not your elbow. You don't push your elbow in. It's the entire arm that's laying flat. Bring it as far down as is necessary. You should not hyperextend all the way to the bottom. You can rupture your tendon. And here, just grooving for 15 reps. Just felt really awesome, really good. This is probably one of the best feels I've had in a long time for the bicep. The biceps were popping after this one set. It was just, enough. It was more of a triceps delt-centered session today. And definitely highly recommend this particular exercise for the biceps. It's very effective. I mean, if you do this consistently with enough volume, with the right amount of weight, your biceps will grow. It's not that hard to grow biceps. For them to really show and get the vein popping and everything, you need the diet. There's no exercise in the world that's going to make your muscles visible if you are high body fat. So, and then we finished off with the skull crushers, which are not really skull crushers. We bring it down behind our head. Now, the gentleman that's training there with me, his arms are much shorter than mine. When he was doing his set, he tried to bring the bar behind his head, and it wasn't working for him. His biomechanics, he thought I was struggling there. I was just pausing at the bar. I said, no, let me pause. I'm completely under control. So everybody's biomechanics are different. Like his arms are just much shorter. And for him, bringing it down to the bridge of the nose is perfect. For me, no. My metrics, my body angles and dimensions are just not built for the same proportions as the next guy. And so here I bring it down behind my head. And of course, this stretches the triceps a little bit more. And it's just a very highly effective exercise. And that was basically it for today. Yeah, he was really gung-ho. I said, well, okay, the weight was flying there off the end. Anyways, that was it for today. It was a great session, high volume, got in a lot of work. God bless you, everybody out there, and we'll see you in the next episode.